The learning outcomes of today's presentation is we're hoping that by the end of this half hour that you'll have a good understanding of the difference between a growth and a fixed mindset. And throughout the workshop, that you'll be able to reflect on your own words and actions and how it relates to growth mindset and the impact that it has on our children. And also by the end of the presentation, we hope that you'll be able to establish strategies and goals for yourself to foster a growth mindset within the home environment. So in this time of distance learning, maybe one of these images captures your experience. I know as a parent myself, I've each of these images captures a little bit of my experience. Some of it positive and other times has been very stressful. So as we go through this presentation, just keep in mind what it's been like and start to apply some of the strategies that you'll be learning during when you're working with your child at home. So some children and also adults, they do disengage when things get hard. Some children don't fully engage in learning. Some might avoid challenges and tasks. They're unmotivated by assignments with no grades. They might fear making mistakes or even give up easily. And so in reality, they don't maximize their growth. And the reason why children and some adults engage in these type of behaviors has to do with the mindset that we have, our beliefs. So you might be asking yourself, what is a mindset? What are mindsets? It's really the beliefs that we have of ourselves and the world around us. So it's our belief system. It's the thoughts that we have about who we are and what we're able to do. And so these belief systems, they do guide and influence how we behave and how we react to others, how we behave and react to ourselves, and also just our daily interactions and our experiences. So there's two different types of mindsets. There's a fixed mindset and there's a growth mindset. Fixed mindset is that belief system that our skills, our talents, our intellectual skills, it's set and you can't change it. So the way you're born, the way you are, that's the way I am and I can't change it. You know, that's kind of the idea that you're fixed. You're kind of stuck. Then on the other side of the continuum, there is this idea of a growth mindset. And that's the belief system that our intellectual skills, our talents, what we're able to do is developed, through practice, through effort and perseverance. And so I know I've mentioned both of these concepts, that it's a fixed mindset and a growth mindset, but in reality, there's a continuum. So when you're on the fixed mindset side, on the left side of the screen, you might be saying things like, I won't do it. No way, I can't do it. Or as you start going down the continuum towards a growth mindset, you might say to yourself, hey, I want to do this. I'm going to give it a try. Or how do I do this? I'll try to do it. I can do it. I will do it. Okay, yes, I did it. So it's on this continuum. So it doesn't mean that you're always on a fixed mindset side or you're always on the growth mindset, but you can be somewhere along this continuum. So what does the research show? There's 4 pieces of research that I wanted to share with everyone. The first thing is that whatever mindset we have, whether it be a growth or a fixed mindset, it really does influence and it does predict our future achievement. And this is really important, especially for our children, because we want to recognize the type of mindset that they have so we can now support and try to foster this growth mindset, because that will influence how they achieve, and not just academically, but just in life, and how they approach learning, how they approach challenges. The second piece of research that I want to share is that children can learn to embrace this idea of growth mindset by just teaching them how to do it and talking to them about it and modeling it. And the reason modeling is so huge right now is because our children are at home, the entire day. Not only are they at home with family, but they're learning from home, all of these things. So what they're seeing and what we're modeling will impact the type of mindset that they have. The fourth piece of research that I wanted to share is that similar to when we go, like, let's say you want to strengthen your muscles, right? You go maybe to the gym or you start doing some exercises or lifting weights to strengthen your body. So similarly, we can strengthen our brain because the brain is like a muscle. And the way we strengthen our brain and start to change it in a positive way is that it's the amount of effort that you put into your learning. So that's a concept that's really important to share with our children. So they know that the more effort I put into my learning, it helps strengthen my brain. It helps train my brain to improve and to learn new things. And the fourth one here is so important, especially during distance learning, is that the messages that our children are hearing from us, not just the parents and family members, but from their teachers as well, related to their ability, the effort, and as well as the praise that they receive, will impact their confidence, their achievement, and also their approach to learning. So now we'll talk a little bit more about growth mindset and fixed mindset. Now, having a growth mindset, it can lead to just the desire to learn. So individuals that have this kind of mindset want to learn. When there's a challenge, they welcome it. They're like, bring it on. I want a new challenge. They might persist in the face of setbacks. So if something's not going their way, they'll continue. They won't stop. They see effort as a path to mastery, and they learn from criticism and feedback. So something to keep in mind is that when your child is at home and they're doing an activity and you're giving them that feedback, like, oh no, Mijo, this is the way you do it. You're kind of not doing it quite right. Are they someone that will say, oh, thanks, mom, I didn't catch that. Let me try it this way. Or are they someone that says, oh, leave me alone. I can do it, or I don't want to do it. So with the growth mindset is that they're welcoming that feedback. And also they're finding lessons and inspiration from other success. So they might see their peers or their sibling that they're doing well. So they're inspired that they're able to do well. So that makes them like, oh, okay, I can do it also. I want to do well as well. And so in this image of this blue face here, this head, it captures some of the thoughts or that children might be having, or even adults might be having, that have a growth mindset. So they might be saying things like, I like to try new things. Or they might be saying things like, feedback is constructive, it helps me. Or I can learn to do anything that I want to do. And so the idea is that individual with a growth mindset will reach higher levels of achievement just because of how they approach learning, or how they approach challenges. Okay. And so now on the opposite side of the continuum is this idea of fixed mindset. Now with the fixed mindset, the individual has a desire to look smart. So remember the growth mindset is the desire to learn, but the fixed mindset is the desire to just look smart. So if we want to look smart, this individual might avoid challenges or things that are difficult because they don't want to look not smart in front of like their parents or their teacher or their friends. This individual with a fixed mindset will give up easier. They might see effort as unnecessary, and these individuals will ignore criticism and feedback. They'll not want it because then that's showing their weakness, and they will feel threatened by other success. So some of the thoughts that they might be having is, I stick to what I know. Like, I'm not trying anything new. I'm only doing what I know, what I can do right. They might think failure is the limit of my abilities, or they might say, when I'm frustrated, I give up. Okay. And so with this kind of mindset, these individuals will plateau early and they will achieve less because they're not maximizing their potential. Now that you know a little bit of the fixed and the growth mindset, think of where do you stand on this mindset continuum, especially when you're having to learn something new. Like maybe let's say learning a new language, for example, or attempting a new skill. Maybe if you're a yogi, trying this new skill, this pose here that seems really challenging, or trying yoga for the first time, or changing a habit that you want to break. Where do you fall on this continuum? Are you more on the fixed side that says, no way, it's too difficult to learn a new language. I'm not going to give it a try. I don't have the time. I can't do it. It's too challenging. Or are you more on the growth mindset side where you're saying, okay, I can do it. I can give it a try. I'll try, that kind of thing. So just take a couple seconds to think of where do you stand on this continuum. And it doesn't have to be related to learning a new language or doing this yoga pose, but something that's happening in your life right now. Where do you stand on this continuum? And the reason why I mention this is that just because you might be on a fixed mindset side on one activity or one experience doesn't mean that you're always on a fixed mindset. It just depends on what the activity is or what you're trying to do. And again, the reason why I highlight that it's important for us as adults and parents to reflect on our own mindset is because, as you remember from the research, is that what we model and with the messages that we're sharing with our children at home, either through our words or what we're doing with our behavior, it does impact and influence our own child's mindset. So it's always good to take a moment to reflect on where we are as the adults to then now support our children. Now, the next piece of this presentation has to do with, okay, now you shared all of this with me, what growth mindset, fixed mindset is. I kind of know where I'm at on this continuum. What can I do at home? So the first thing is just to really be aware of the language that is used. I talked about, how we praise our children is really important. So when our child is doing distance learning or not even doing any type of activity, it's important to praise their effort and the process that they're doing to achieve something versus trying to praise their intelligence or their ability. So for example, you don't want to say, you're so clever, you're so smart at this. And the reason you don't want to say things like you're so smart is because it makes children think that their intelligence is fixed, right? And so instead of saying you're so smart, you might want to say, I've noticed the effort that you're putting into math or into reading, whatever it might be. And the reason you want to now say, I'm noticing your effort is because you want to convey the idea that that you value effort, that you value their hard work. The next example is, oh, that was hard. I'm so glad it's over and now you can do something else. Especially as a parent, when you're trying to support your child with something that you're not really sure how to support them, you might say, oh, that was hard. I'm so glad you're not having to do this anymore. Let's do something else. When we convey that, we're also conveying that that they can't do it, right? And so we want to make sure that we're letting them know that there's always going to be challenges, and we want to give them the confidence that they do have the tools and the skills to get through this challenge. So we might want to say, that was really hard. So we're validating that was hard. And we're saying your effort shows, and now you'll be ready for this kind of challenge. Like I said before, our children are being faced with different challenges currently, and they'll continue to be faced with different challenges as the years come, into their teenage years, into their adulthood. So we want to convey this, that they have the tools and they have the skills to be able to overcome challenges. Another example is, you might be saying, you're a natural athlete, or you're a natural writer, you're whatever it might be, you're natural, like this is a talent that you have. We really don't want to focus on that because it's very fixed. What we want to do is we want to say, I really enjoy watching you, play soccer, whatever activity that might be, because now you're highlighting that there's a shared enjoyment of the activity, regardless of what the outcome will be. The next one is, you might say, that's okay, maybe this just isn't your thing. Like maybe you're just not cut out for this, for soccer or for reading, whatever it might be. Instead of saying that, the reason why you might not want to say that is because you're not highlighting that the child can improve, with effort. And so you might want to say, it seems like it's time to try a new strategy. Because saying it in this way, that there's a new strategy, there's different ways to problem solve, you're allowing the child to understand that they have control of their outcomes, versus either they're good or not good at it. And the last example here of ability praise and effort praise is that you might say, you're so good with numbers. Let's keep doing math activities since you're good at it. And naturally, as a parent, we might want to encourage, that our child is doing something that they're good at, so can continue to do things that they're good at. But when that happens, is that we're not encouraging things that are difficult for them. And so when they are faced with things that are challenging, they might fear taking that risk of trying new things. So we might want to say, your hard work and your practice has helped you improve your math skills. You should challenge yourself and try something new or something that is challenging. Again, we're trying to emphasize that challenges will come up and that life is really about learning. So we're lifelong learners. The next thing or the next strategy is being aware of not only the language that we're using, but the language that our child is using. So I like this little cartoon because there's a little monster that's saying, "Mom, I can't take away sums. They're too hard." So already the mom is recognizing, hey, that's a fixed mindset wording, right, that he's saying. So the mom is saying, don't worry, you just haven't worked out how to do these sums yet, but you will. You'll get there if you keep trying. So that word "yet" made a huge difference in how she reframed what he's saying. So made it possible that, hey, you don't get it yet. It's hard. I recognize that, but just keep trying. We'll get there. So for example, here are some examples of what your child might be saying and how you can help reframe their thinking. So your child might say, "I'm not good at this." You might help them reframe their thinking to, well, what am I missing? Like, I'm not good at this because there's something that I'm missing. What is it that I'm missing? And they might need some help with that. Your child might be saying, "This is too hard." You can help them reframe their thinking to, this may take some time. It takes patience. It takes effort. You're not going to get it all at once. Something at home that I do is we talk about patience all the time. I have two little ones, so it's important to be patient, not just for them and trying to understand how to do the distance learning thing and be patient to wait their turn and listen to the teacher and listen to their peers, but also us as adults, that this is hard, and it's important for us to also be patient and be okay with it being difficult and just working through it together. Your child might be saying, "I give up." Help them reframe their thinking to, let me use a different strategy, instead of like just completely blowing things off and saying, I give up, I'm not going to do it anymore. Another thing your child might be saying is, "I made a mistake." And this is common. We all make mistakes. So you reframe it to, mistakes help you learn, right? Mistakes help me learn. If your child does an activity or is engaged with something and says, "This is good enough," and you're noticing that it's probably not their best work, so have them reframe their thinking to, is this really my best work, right? If your child is saying, "I'll never be that smart," and this is where you can talk about the brain, like, well, I'm going to train my brain, because remember, again, that brain is like a muscle. The more effort you put into your learning strengthens your brain. I can't make this any better. I can always improve. The child might say, "My friend can do it." So it's that seeing their peers or that comparison. And then have them reframe their thinking, well, what you can learn from your friends. I will learn from them. So the third strategy is modeling, right? Growth mindset in our own behavior. So we talked about the words that we use and the words that our children are using. So now it's looking at how we behave. So we might be saying the right words. You might be saying, "Oh, mijo, keep doing it. Your effort is great. I can see that you're problem solving." But if we're not also demonstrating the same encouragement that we're giving, that same type of praise that we're giving our children, then it kind of goes out the window because we're not demonstrating. So we're talking the talk, but we're not walking the walk. So we want to make sure that we are modeling it. And this quote, when I saw it, it kind of made me laugh, and I'm like, that's so true. So I'll read it out loud. It says, "Don't worry that your children never listen to you. Worry that they are always watching you." And it's so true, right? Even when you don't think that they're watching, they are. So it's important to really model those healthy reactions when we do make our mistakes and we do have failures, because we all do. Especially during this time of that COVID and school closure and distance learning, there's just so much novelty in everything that mistakes and failures are happening. every day. So it's important to then model those healthy reactions and showing our children how we do calm ourselves down, either if it's deep breaths, if it's taking time, if it's meditating, if it's taking a walk, whatever it might be. It's good to talk about what you do to help yourself lessen those frustrations and how you deal with mistakes and failures. Another possibility that you can do is also you can point out how others are showing growth mindset, either within your family or in movies or shows. You can say, hey, that character, do you see how he didn't give up? That's awesome, right? He problem solved, he was patient, he put in the effort. So it's good for them to see different examples, especially during distance learning, right? Our fourth strategy is encourage failure and mistakes. Talk about it, because if we don't talk about mistakes and failures, it's like a taboo subject that no one talks about, but it's happening, right? It's like the elephant in the room. So we want to make sure that we are talking about it, because it makes it less scary, for children and for adults to make mistakes, because we're all making them. And talk about how it helps us grow and it helps us learn new things. So it's good that maybe during dinner time or when you're watching a movie or whatever, whenever you have that time with your children, to talk about your own mistakes that you had when you were their age, or when your current mistakes and what you're learning from them, and they can share that with you as well. And the fifth is bringing consciousness to our thoughts. Now, this is easier said than done. It's really challenging to be conscious of our thoughts, but it's so important. Um, every day we have thoughts, good thoughts, negative thoughts, positive thoughts, that are happening in our brain. And sometimes we're aware of it, and other times we're not. The majority of the time we're not, because there's just thoughts after thoughts after thoughts. So it's important for our adults to be aware of our own thoughts, and then also talk to our children for them to be aware of their own thoughts as well. In our brains, we have this internal dialogue that's happening that either helps us and it's supportive and it's helpful and healthy, or the opposite. And so, I'm thinking, like, when you're presented with a new task that's challenging, are you saying, whoa, this is too hard. I don't even know where to start. I'm just going to put it to the side. So that's that negative self-talk thinking. If it's a positive self-talk thinking, you might be saying to yourself, okay, this is new. I've never done this before. Let me try to figure this out. So it's important to be aware of those thoughts, so you can start to recognize those patterns. And also remember that you don't have to believe every thought. And so this is so important, because as children get older, they will be able to do this independently. But it's helpful to start at a young age, so you can start to talk about these concepts, and so they can continue to nurture this growth mindset, this awareness to our thoughts and consciousness. As they get older, they'll be able to use that into their adulthood. And so here are some books about growth mindset that I really enjoy. I've read, I think, most of these to my own children. And also some of these books have used them with students on our campus by our student services team. And so I encourage you to, I love books, so to go, get some books, or even go on YouTube. They have read alouds that are free access, and listen to those books together with your children and talk about growth mindset. And I leave you with this last quote by Carol Dweck. Carol Dweck is a lead researcher in growth mindset. And all of these concepts are pretty much coming from her. It says, if parents want to give their children a gift, the best thing they can do is to teach their children to love challenges, be intrigued by mistakes, enjoy effort, and keep on learning. That way, their children don't have to be slaves of praise. They will have a lifelong way to build and repair their own confidence. Okay, there are some credits, and that's it. That's the end of the presentation about growth mindset. I think we have 1 or 2 minutes, maybe, if there's any questions. Or any comments? And if not, that's okay. So, I mean, if you do have questions or comments, you can definitely reach out to any of us. And I don't know if you got a chance to see our parent or counseling newsletter. We send it out every month, and this current in December, the newsletter is about growth mindset. So if there's any, if you haven't gotten a chance to read it, make sure to check it out. Okay. So thank you again.